everyone. Welcome to this week's Karma Cards. So, the energy has been intense. September 23rd, which was last Saturday, the fall equinox, it came with an energetic bang. So, the Schumann resonance went up, the KP index went up, and we're actually kind of writing out the residuals. We've been writing it out all week long. Today is Wednesday. I got to look at the date again. September 27th. And only now is the energy actually starting to stabilize and go down. Before it was bumping up. But weirdly, I personally feeling it today. The other days felt a lot better. Like I feel like the higher the KP goes now, the better I feel. And as it goes down to normal levels, I kind of feel that like it takes my energy down. I don't know. What about you? Let me know in the comments. Are you feeling that too? Do you feel better when it's high now? Or do you feel better when it goes down to normal levels? I don't know. That's just something I've been noticing. Energetically speaking, we've got the full moon in Aries coming up this Friday on September 29th. So of course, if you want to join me for the full moon spirit circle, here's the link. It's also in the description below. So you can join us for some full moon release work as well as some psychic Q&A. We have lots of fun. They are a fabulous group of people and I really enjoy doing these. So if you'd like to join us, click on the link and come check it out. So with the full moon, it means a ramping up of energy. Now, for those of you who are fire signs or in the sign of Aries yourself, you might feel a real boost. Others might feel like this energy is just a little too much. The moon is going to conjunct with the North Node, which is now in Aries. So we've got this North Node energy is about this desire of what we want, where we want to go. And there's like again, this intense sort of yearning, like I can't get enough of it. That kind of energy mixed with the emotional intensity of a fiery moon. And it's this strong desire to break free from something and create independence. So you might be noticing it now. Maybe there's something, maybe a thought process or a behavioral pattern, maybe a relationship or a dynamic that you're dealing with, maybe at work or something, where you're going to have this really strong urge to like, enough, like I'm done, I'm doing this my way, that kind of energy. Mars is activated with this full moon. I'm going to go deeper into that inside the spirit circle. But it gives us this oomph, this fiery energy to get things done. So it can feel turbulent for some people. Some people love that fire and they really get a lot done with it, where other people just feel kind of like maybe nerves fried with all that intense energy going through you. Now, there are other aspects that are happening that day that are going to help balance it and make it feel much more loving. But there is that kind of let's get it done, strong sense of passion, energy coming through as well. Now, the message this week from my team is a really interesting one. They want to let you know that you've done it. I keep saying thumbs up, guys. Good job. You've done it. So something has happened recently that we have removed obstacles from. Now, that's really interesting because with the last new moon in Virgo, that was a dominant message that was coming through, that there were some obstacles finally going to be removed. The team is saying, you did it. Those obstacles are now out of your way and you're going to see a lot of forward momentum. They're letting us know that there's some kind of success coming in here. It might be personal success. It might be an achievement that you have. It just might be a feeling of finally like, I finally got over my block and I'm moving forward. So they want you to know that. Now, in the last spirit circle, the new moon in Virgo, there was a download when I did the meditation where I connect with my team, and they were talking about the mirror ball. And it was really powerful, so I shared it to the Modern Mystic Soul podcast. So there's a link below to the Modern Mystic Soul podcast if you want to hear the exact words of the download. It's called the mirror ball. And it's a really cool concept. They're sort of talking about like what this world is for us really, and what we knew before we entered it, and how we're working inside of this mirror ball, literally. And when I asked the team to go give me more detail about what is this like thumbs up about, what did we do well, what did we clear? And they were talking about the mirrors again. So what's really interesting about that, there's layers to this, the mirror ball and the mirrors, right? So we live in what they would call like a mirror world. So everything's starting from within, it's happening within you, and you are projecting it out onto a type of mirror. And so what you think of as experiencing something outside of yourself is really just you experiencing your internal world. So that's one level of it. The other level is like everything is mirrored back to you. And this is one of the laws. It's one of the universal laws. It's called the law of correspondence. And so it's like what you put out is what you get back. And what they're talking about is how everything is mirrored back to you. So many times when we think of something being mirrored back, a lot of us focus on the negative things that are getting mirrored back, because we're like, why is this happening? Why do I have to experience that? We recognize the mirrors through our triggers. We know that it's something unresolved. If we're looking at something and we're feeling triggered by it, then we can understand this is something unresolved in us. But we fail to look at the fact that other things are mirrored back to us. The things that you admire in other people, as an example, are a mirror of who you are, of the aspects of yourself that you love and appreciate. The only way you would ever be able to perceive it in someone else is if you had it first. Just the same as what triggers you and what upsets you in another person. The only way you'd be able to react to that if it is something that you have that you don't accept. So the pleasant things we're experiencing in the world are a reflection of ourselves and what we accept, and the unpleasant things are a reflection of the pieces of ourselves that we don't accept. And some people love working with that analogy, and they're like, well, finally it's like a shortcut. I can see what I need to work on or accept or love or appreciate. Others are like, what the hell are you saying? Like, that's me, I'm that kind of person. And it's like, no, it's the part of you that you don't accept, right? So we want to come to an understanding that we're everything. If we're all one, if oneness is truly us, then everything is in there. Everything that you experience outside is also inside. And it's learning how to understand and accept and integrate those parts. It doesn't mean that you're going to activate them. It just means integrate, hold, accept, appreciate, understand. So they're letting us know that we've done something quite successful with our mirror ball work. And again, you should check out the Modern Mystic Soul podcast if you want the full context of what I'm speaking to there, because I go into better detail. I've got my team there and they're going to explain it better to you than I can trying to remember it. So congratulations. You've done something, you've shifted something has moved out of the way. You are now unblocked, and you will start to feel a rapid and swift progression forward. You're going to be moving towards something much quicker now. And so I'm asking my team right now, I'm like, okay, is there a message is this an individual message or a collective message? And I get both is the answer. We as a collective have unlocked something. So when we moved through the energy of the equinox, we unlocked and unblocked something collectively as well. And I keep getting in the back of my head, the end of October has some really big momentum to it. Now, when I did the Shining the Light on podcast today with Amber Romaniak, I asked about that. And something kind of mystical or extraterrestrial showed up in that. So we'll have to wait and see. But we're unblocked. And in the podcast, the message was about contact from extraterrestrials. Like, we're unblocked and ready for that. So on a collective level, maybe this is coming up. We're going to have to wait and see. On an individual level, it's much more personal to you and something you may have felt like has been struggling or slowed for you. You're not seeing progression. You should start seeing progression now, and it's going to pick up speed. So it might feel slow in the beginning, but you're going to feel it for sure, and very soon here. So with that, let's go deeper and look into this week's karma cards. All right, if you're new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks here: planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team, what is the message you have for us this week? And I've got 2 sets of answers, a set in red, which are action, and a set in blue, which are outcome. And the way that you play is you tune in with your beautiful intuition and feel what is the most aligned message for you at this time. Are you looking for action-related guidance, or how things resolve, so outcomes? And of course, you can always choose both. And while you're choosing, let me tell you the timing for this reading. This reading is for September 27th through October 4th. And the flavor of this reading, we've got the sun again. We had the sun last week, so we know we've got some leadership activated and something is coming to light, something that we're going to see. We've done something, we've shifted something, and it looks like more will be revealed. In the sign of Aquarius, this is about forward thinking, bigger vision. If ET contact were to be a thing, we would definitely get this card. So it's definitely thinking bigger than the current moment, outside of the box, and the future. And the house that we're looking at is the 12th house. And this is the house of secrets, undoing, and the subconscious mind. And just kind of thinking about the message that was coming through before, the block, the personal block, was in here, and it's been set free. So I'm interested to see what the cards have to say. All right. For those who are choosing action, your spiritual action at this time is demonstrate your vision, seeing oneness with all there is. That's so cool. The oneness with all there is. There it is. There's the mirror ball card, right? Whatever you're putting out is being reflected back to you. And the whole idea is that coming to oneness. I want to integrate all parts within myself and learn to appreciate, or at least accept, everything that I'm experiencing, so that it no longer triggers me, so that I'm no longer reactive to it. I'm much more responsive. So now that we're unblocked and you're moving forward more successfully, it's time to demonstrate your vision. What are you moving towards? And see it as being held by all, right? So your vision can be held by all, just like you would hold the bigger vision for humanity as well, right? So it's recognizing it's the same action, and embracing that and seeing what that does when you take it in is like, this is, the win-win. It's good for everyone, right? And if you're like, oh, my personal vision is really about me, and I don't know how it's a win-win, then you need to follow the thought and who are you as you become more successful? Are you more, does that energy spring forth from you? Does it improve your life? And when it improves your life, does it improve the life of those close to you? And as you improve the life of those close to you, does it make you want to spread that energy out even further? Then maybe you can see how it's all connected to everyone. Mental action at this time. Realize what's new and different about philanthropy. Man, they keep hitting us with this one over and over again. There's new and different. Philanthropy is different now. And again, it's recognizing that there's energy is a part of how we interact with each other. And I think a lot of times that's not considered. We've got this very physical or externalized idea about philanthropy. And I'm not saying that those aren't valid. Of course, they're valid paths and they feel very direct. But we're working on it in energy all the time. And one of the ways that we can work on it and improve, because we are always sending each other information psychically, whether we're receptive to it or not. And if you're listening to this, I'm going to say you're probably receptive to it. We're always sending each other information psychically. And one of the ways that we might not be as philanthropic is in our assumptions about each other when things are hard. When things aren't super duper pleasant and easy, when things get hard with you and someone else, do your thoughts become a little bit withholding, a little bit stingy? Like, one of the ways we can increase philanthropy is practicing generosity of thought. Many times when we're in a conflict with something, or something is not in alignment with us, like we don't feel like we're getting the win. Maybe we feel taken advantage of, maybe we feel forgotten or dismissed or rejected, and our mind doesn't go into a place of generosity or giving state, it gets pretty constricted, contracted. We tell ourselves stories about how this person has stopped caring or never cared or is taking advantage of us or it has mean intentions towards us, like wishes us ill. These are the places our mind goes. And so what this is letting us know is that we can work on generosity in the mind. And when you do that, your energy shifts and the other person feels it, because we definitely feel it. When someone is thinking ill of us, we can feel that. And it actually shows up in our aura. There are some people who can read and see auras, and they can see all this like little Chinese throwing stars and knives and arrows like in people's auras, and that represents psychic attack. And we can do this easily without realizing that we're doing it. We often think our thoughts are ours, that they're not leaving this space. But the truth is, tell me where the boundary is with your thought. Where does it stop? If you think it stops within your skull, that's a nice thought, but it doesn't. It's a frequency, and frequencies can travel very far. And so we do sometimes send psychic attacks. So one of the ways we can practice philanthropy is generosity in our thoughts towards others. Now, we tend to do this when things are going well, when things are smooth, when there's harmony between people. We do that. The challenge or the opportunity, if you will, that's here is, can you do that when you're in a situation where it's not working to your advantage, when it doesn't feel like it's serving you or it doesn't feel harmonious? Can you practice generosity of thought for another? And notice, if you do try this, that the energy shifts. It will shift. The other person or people will feel it. You will definitely feel it. And you'll notice that there's more peace and harmony within you, and that'll create more peace and harmony around you. Physical action at this time. Act like a leader. Use an unconventional way and keep your involvement hidden. I feel like this piggybacks really well off the generosity of thought towards others, because, many times with philanthropy or with giving, just basic giving, we kind of teeter. And I catch myself doing this all the time. I try to become aware of it and I practice it, but it's hard because we want praise or we want validation or we want to be seen as a good person. I want you to notice that I was generous here, like, hey, like I'm being generous right now. And in the law of one, they talk about that, and they're like, that's transactional behavior. That's not true generosity. That's transactional, which is fine. There is a place for transaction. But if we're trying to truly do something generous or kind for another, then we actually want to practice what this says about keeping our involvement hidden. And here's a mini situation so you can see it. Let's say my husband's away and I want him to feel really good when he comes home. So I do the regular housework, but I do a little extra. I do something above and beyond so that when he comes in the door, it feels amazing. Now, if I'm being generous and I'm being philanthropic or coming from a place of giving, then you say nothing, because the intent, right, was to create good feelings for another. If he comes home and he puts his bag down, takes his shoes off, makes himself relax, and he says nothing about it, then and I say nothing about it, then I've done it, right? I have actually achieved pure philanthropy, pure generosity, just kindness. And it was done for kindness' sake. I kept my involvement hidden. It wasn't noticed or tracked, and that's okay, because that wasn't the intent. Here's where I've fallen short in the past, is I'm like, I'm doing something nice for you. I want you to feel really good. And I want you to notice that I did it. So he'll come home, throw his bag down, take his shoes off, go sit down, and I'll be like, Did you see that I rearranged the bookshelves in a more pleasing manner or something? You know what I mean? there, you can feel it coming up. And it's one of those things where, especially if you need validation or praise, if that's something that you've had from childhood, where you're like, help me feel better. If you're not good at validating yourself, then you will seek it from other people. And so this is one of those things where we've got to pay attention. Am I being generous or am I being transactional? Because the minute that I point out that I did these things, because I want the feedback, right? Like, tell me I did a good job. Like, tell me you appreciate it. Say thank you. Then I'm becoming transactional. And it's so small. It's such a small action, but it has crazy karma points. And here's what I mean by that. The crazy karma points are, if you can keep your involvement hidden, you get like extra points in the higher realm of on the spiritual game board, the game of ethics and the game of morals and just doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. You get a crazy points up there. It's harder than you think it is. It's easy to get transactional and not realize it, because we're taught, like, if someone does something nice to you, say thank you, and show appreciation. And so we are taught to be that way, but that also kind of has this, okay, so I did something nice for you and I made your life better. So what do you say? What's the polite thing to say, right? I mean, it's tricky, but they're letting us know this is a great time to practice it. You've got this, you've unblocked yourself, you've got this beautiful forward momentum. You want to make that into a snowball. You want it to avalanche and just go out of the park. Let's accrue some of those higher spiritual game board karma points by being generous in our thoughts towards others. And as we express this generosity, it's not about what I get back, it's about what I give. And that's all I'm going to focus on. Now, some of you out there, I know you're really good at this. And so you are the leaders in this area. Like, show people how to do it. Like, if you've got this skill down where you're like, it's cool, I don't need validation, I can do nice things for others and just walk away feeling good and leave it there. If you're that person, be the leader, show people how to do it. And if you're a person who loves the validation, then all we need to do is make sure we're validating ourselves. I feel so good about my actions. I'm proud of myself. I'm doing nice things. And it's going to feel so good to be able to do the nice thing and walk away, right? Especially, and that's easy when you want to stick a couple dollars in a book at the bookstore. That's easy to do. But it's harder when someone else is involved. So take my cleaning scenario. For those out there who are in relationships, you guys know how it feels. That's where it's really going to accrue you some points, is when the temptation, the opportunity is there for it to become transactional, for you to get that validation. And if you can leave it on the table, major karma points. So let's see if we can do it. We're going to try. We're going to give it a good try, and that's all you can do, right? All right, so now let's look at outcomes for the sun in Aquarius in the 12th house of the subconscious mind. The spiritual outcome at this time is the creation of genius to experiment with your faith. So I feel like as we take in what they're asking us to do, see the oneness, right? And practice generosity in thought, practice giving without trying to get anything back, even acknowledgement, which is, again, for some of us, it's tougher than others. This creates that genius. This is the genius that we're going to see. And it's going to lead you deeper into what your faith in the world is, what your faith in humanity is, what your faith in a higher power is. It's going to take you even deeper. Because again, these are big karma points, good karma points. That we're going to be receiving as we do this work. We're going to create that beautiful snowball. So you're going to see even more of that come into play. Mental outcome at this time, the gaining of respect for or from the discoveries of hidden tendencies. So here's what's really interesting. As I'm telling you the story about feeling transactional, in the past, that kind of recognition probably would have brought me down in energy. I probably would have felt bad about it. At this point in time and doing that work, I don't feel bad about it. I just know it's like, oh, there's the tripwire. I know this is my test. It's always going to be my test is can I put something awesome out there without the need to get the feedback, right? Can I just do it? And I don't see that as a flaw in my character or a weakness because one, I understand why it's there. But two, it's like there is this empowerment knowing what triggers you. There's a real empowerment in it. There's a real empowerment knowing why that thing out there or that person's behavior bothers you. I feel like when you're coming from that beautiful place of just wanting to understand, you're not right, you're not wrong, you just want to understand. When you start coming from that place, when you find a personal weakness, you no longer see it as a detriment or a flaw in your character. You simply see it as there's the test. There it is. There's the tripwire. That's the thing that I get caught up on. And now I know it's there. So whenever you enter a scenario where that's present, you start to become conscious in your mind. You're like, it's so tempting. It's so tempting to, get the attaboy or the accolade or the kudo, right? It's so tempting to do that. Can I bypass it this time? And it almost feels like a game. And I get that this is what they're saying here is like the more aware you become, like for example, if when things go out of balance or out of harmony and you feel your heart close, that doesn't mean anything about you as a person. It simply means this is the test, right? This scenario is uncomfortable. I don't like it. And my brain wants to jump into hyperdrive about what people think about me. How can I open this heart back up? How can I be more generous in my thoughts of others? How can I accumulate those karma points, right? The good karma points. And when we stop seeing it as something that makes you less than or a flaw or unworthy, and rather, this is my obstacle in the game, right? If we were all playing, Monopoly together, and you landed in jail, you'd be strategizing about your next moves. Like what do I need to get out of here and move forward? You're not going, oh, I'm a terrible person because I'm in jail. It's a game. And that's one of the ways you can benefit at looking at life and your spiritual growth journey. What if instead of it being this heavy and dense thing that you have to move because your worth is connected to it, what if it's a game? And your worth stays the same, which it does all the time. And when you're in a scenario where your heart wants to close, or you want to become transactional, or you are mistrusting, or you are doubting something, what if that's just the trap, right? That's just the hand you were dealt at this moment. How do I get around that? What am I going to do to move forward? What's my strategy? Because I'm winning this game, right? When you start looking at things that way, no longer do these hidden tendencies, old behavioral patterns, mental traps that we fall into, no longer do they feel so heavy and dense and a sign of your goodness or badness, but rather they're part of the game. They're the pitfalls. They're the tripwires. And it's your job to see how fast you can spot it and can you move around it? And if you can, you're advancing forward in the game and you're collecting those points. It becomes a lot easier to do, and it's not so. What you're going to notice is you stop personally attacking yourself so much for being in a game. If you had somebody who just knocked on your door and was like, here's a pamphlet from the universe, and it was like, welcome to the game of life. Here are the rules. Here are the things. You would be like, oh my gosh, okay, I can do this, right? And that's what they were talking about in the mirror ball meditation, is that we've forgotten that this is an experiment. It's a game. You knew it when you got into it, and you've just been so absorbed in it that it starts to feel like your life in reality. This cards and this block that's been moved is allowing you to see this is a game. There is an easier way to do this. It doesn't mean there aren't pitfalls and you won't have those uncomfortable feelings or situations where you're like, well, I wouldn't choose that. But you also don't choose to fall into jail or go back 5 spaces or give all your money to the bank in Monopoly or whatever those game rules are, right? You don't choose those, but that's part of the game and you know it going in. And this is like this sort of remembering energy that all of this is for you. It's not hurting you. It's not saying anything about the quality of who you are. It's simply for you, and it's part of the obstacles and the joy of learning how to overcome them. Physical outcome at this time, things coming to light or life resulting from the eccentricity of large institutions or overwhelming events. So again, that card, the 12th house, the subconscious mind, it's very deep. Our subconscious mind, I've talked about this many times. We're working in multiple layers of subconscious. There is the personal and then there's the interconnected subconscious. And so this is alluding to these bigger things that are happening collectively are they're going to show you even more that this is a game. Something is off. Something's weird. You're starting to see it now. I feel like collectively people are joking where they're talking about we're in a movie. I like to use that one. It's like we're in this weird movie or we're in the upside down. I hear people talking. It's like, things are not as they seem. They seem really off and weird, and it's going to continue to get weirder and weirder, and that's part of this breaking down of the old paradigm. It's got to show itself to you. It's got to show you how backwards and twisted it was, because that'll help instigate this destruction of it. The destruction is, in a large part, I don't believe in it anymore. And it's just like the end of the movie Labyrinth, right? When in that movie in the 1980s with David Bowie, at the end of the movie, she's like, you have no power over me. I don't believe in this. It's like she's done with the illusion. And as soon as she says that, the illusion breaks. That's what's happening to us collectively. More and more every day, people are waking up and going, I'm done. This is weird. I don't like it. What a weird movie. What a weird game. I'm not a fan. I don't like it. I'm done. I want out. The more of us that say that, the more it just breaks down and crumbles. It's so illusory. And so as it gets weirder and weirder, your understanding of what is this that I'm a part of is clearer and clearer. And that's when it actually weirdly, if you accept the terms of it, kind of gets more fun. You're like, oh my gosh, it really is a game. Oh my gosh, I really am in charge more than I thought I was. Okay. Well, if I'm in charge, then this shit ends, right? Like these bad things, they're coming to an end. I'm not participating anymore. I don't consent. And as we do that, we're warping the energy. New things are happening, and it's all weirdly connected because, again, there's oneness. So my team says, don't even bother focusing so hard on the outside world. Do this inner work. See it as the game. Stop looking at everything as a fault that falls short of your expectations. Stop seeing it as making you unworthy or wrong or bad. Rather see it as this is the obstacle that I have to overcome in this game. And now I can see them. And the clearer I see them, the easier they are to move around. And the more fun this whole thing gets, because now I'm strategizing. Now I'm not worried that something is taking me down. Nothing is taking me down. I'm playing the game. And so as we understand that on the personal level, the outside world just keeps rippling and cracking and breaking. So it's not even like you have to go face something outside of you. It's facing what's within and loving it and realizing this is really all for you. And look at what I can do with my mind. I can use my mind as an unintentional weapon towards other people, and I can close my heart and get really hard and small, and things feel harder and smaller in the game. But when I open my heart and I use my mind as something that is sending out not only generosity in my thoughts, but rather recognizing that the giving I can do it in total secret, and I make more points when I do that. And so it gets really exciting. You start looking for those opportunities to shift your own behavior, and as you do that, you're shifting the mirror, and the mirror is showing you something new, and then the world starts to change and new things come out of it. And so we are in this really cool time of like shift. Things are changing so fast. And again, the beautiful thing is that if you're centering on what you need to do to help yourself feel more whole, more connected, more in a state of oneness, you are playing the game beautifully and helping the world at the same time. And isn't that cool? So with that, I'm sending you so much love. Leave me a comment below. Did this make sense? Are you on board? Are you excited to know that this is more of a game and you have a strategy now? Or are you still like, no, everything that's going wrong still feels really bad and I can't shift that in my mind? That's okay. Let me know below. I would be happy to support you. And in the meantime, I cannot wait to see you at the next Karma Cards. Mwah.